because I thought I was going to die. But I made it up to almost to the surface, and then I had a blackout, and I woke up on the surface, and I forgot what happened.
Welcome to the Flying High Podcast, with inspiring meetings with people that got love for the aviation industry and passion for adventure. This is SkyTalk.
So today at SkyTalk we have a very special guest, Annelie Pompe, who is a freediver. She's a mountain climber, yoga instructor. You are a writer, public speaker. You're wearing many hats.
Yeah, I work with all my favorite things.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky.
Yeah. So welcome.
Thank you.
Please tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, where did you grow up and
Yeah,
where
so
you're from?
I grew up not far from here. We're in Gothenburg at the moment. So I grew up in Gothenburg, and I was always close both to the ocean and the rocks and the little mountains. And I've always loved both oceans and mountains. They've been like my favorite places to be. So I learned to free dive and dive at a young age, and I also learned to climb at a young age. So I think that's where it all started.
Okay.
And I was also very lucky with my parents, because they never said, no, that's too dangerous or it's too far away. They actually encouraged me to do
Okay.
whatever I wanted to do. I also think that I found mental training and sports psychology at a very young age.
Okay.
So I learned how much your mindset affects your life. And I think that's why I'm sitting here today.
Yes. So I discovered you when you had written a book. Is it in English too?
No, it's in Swedish.
Swedish, yeah.
But I think the English translation would be something like extremely deep and
Incredibly
high.
Yeah, that was just so cool. If you haven't read it, you don't even have to read it because you can just look at the pictures.
Yeah, it's some of my favorite photos, and I wrote it after I managed to set the world record in freediving and climb Mount Everest within 1 year.
Wow.
And I always dreamed of writing a book because I love books.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, to write a book, I'd love to do that. So I actually made ideas of this book and sent it to lots of different publicists.
Yeah.
And none of them said yes. But then the biggest publicist contacted me directly and said, we love your Instagram. We would like you to write a book. Do you want to write a book?
Oh,
I was
wow.
like, yes.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so that was a fantastic coincidence. And then I met a really nice editor, and I've joined her as she moved to another publicist as well. So I've written 5 books.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. Well, that's what you hear with the same as J.K. Rowling. She had to go to all these different publicists.
Yeah.
And so what do you think made you take the step and dare to do things like that?
Well, I think that my father has been a big role model because he's always had his own firms. Like, he's got 5 different companies that he works with.
A real entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's when I realized that, wow, you actually don't have to be employed. You can decide what to do with your time and work for yourself. So I think as I grew up with that, it seemed normal somehow.
Yeah.
To do that. So I started my own business when I was 18, and then I was a personal trainer, a rock climbing instructor, and spinning instructor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Loving sports.
Yes, I
Yeah,
love sports,
yeah.
and I love nature, so I think that's also how I ended up
Yeah.
this way.
Cool. So when did you start freedive?
I started freediving actually before scuba diving, but then I didn't know it was called freediving. I just, it's just the easiest way to be in the ocean.
Yeah.
It's just your mask and a big breath, and then you're there. But then I thought I want to stay longer, and my breath hold was terrible. I could hold my breath for maybe 1 minute. So I took my first scuba diving certificate, and I worked as a dive master. And then I saw the movie The Big Blue.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And if you haven't seen the movie, it's like a Hollywood movie about freediving. It's by Luc Besson.
Okay.
And the first time I saw it, I realized that's what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be that small person just going into the big blue.
Yeah.
It seemed like such freedom to not have this clumsy equipment and everything. So I tried freediving. I took a course and I just fell in love.
How old were you then?
25-ish, I think.
Okay. Yeah. You had a small little period where you studied IT, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that was before that. I was supposed to be a software engineer because eventually I was like, I ran out of money. And my mom said, you have to get a real education and a real job at some point. You cannot only have fun all your life. And I'm like, okay, I will try. And then I thought, which job could I do that makes me rich quickly?
So I can do what I want.
IT seems to be the future. But I dreaded it. I hated the university.
Yeah.
Sitting still with computers is just, no,
Not you.
not me.
No.
So that's my dark past.
Yeah. Were you a free diver before you started rock climbing?
I think rock climbing came first.
Okay.
I started rock climbing when I was 14.
Yeah.
But the ocean was always there also, so it was like going
Yeah.
back and
Yeah.
forth, up and down.
Okay. So tell me about your free diving career.
Well, after I found it, I went to my first course, and the instructor told me you cannot be a good freediver if you live in Sweden. So I moved to Egypt and to a little place called Dahab, and it has a very special spot that's called the Blue Hole. So it's like opening in the coral reef, and it goes down to 100 meters.
Oh, wow.
And it's the perfect place to freedive. So I lived there on and off for 5 years, and I was just diving deeper and deeper.
Oh, nice. Is that where the picture on your book?
Yes,
Yeah?
that's where it's
Yeah?
from. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. And then you set a world record.
Yes, I did.
Yeah?
I went down with a weighted sled down to 126 meters. It's about 340 feet, I think. And then I swam back up again. So it's a deep discipline. It's called variable weight.
Okay. So
And after that, I climbed Mount Everest within a year.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
So did you ever think when you started to free dive that you were going to start competing?
Yes.
Yeah?
I am competitive.
Yeah.
I like to see what I can do. And competitions is like the best way to push your limits. So I think a lot of adventures are just curiosity baits. Like if you're curious, like what can I do?
Yeah.
And then you have to go find out.
Yeah.
That's how many adventures start,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Do you think that when you started free diving and you did set the world record, do you think that somehow mentally pushed you that you knew that, oh, I can do anything?
Pretty much, actually.
Yeah.
Because like I told you before about breath holding, I know that you can hold your breath for 3-4 minutes. And when your mind realized that you can do something you never thought was possible, then the next step is thinking, what else can I do?
Yeah.
Because I've found that me and many people with me, we're limiting ourselves a lot in our minds.
Yeah.
So as soon as someone says, do you want to try this? The first thought will be, no, that's not possible.
Yeah.
But why does our mind work like that? Why is it so negative?
Yeah.
So I think that's the first step of actually just listening to your thoughts. And when a thought like that comes up, it's like, nope, not going to believe you.
Yeah. But then you also had an accident. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've had many accidents. But one of the worst ones was when I got stuck on the bottom at about 95 meters. Then I got really scared because I thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
But I made it up to almost to the surface, and then I had a blackout. And I woke up on the surface, and I forgot what happened because the mind loses its close-term memory.
Wow.
So I just remember waking up on the surface, and there was a blue sky and white clouds, and I was like, why am I here?
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And at first I thought I died.
Yeah.
But then I realized I was alive. But after that, I couldn't free dive for a very long time. And the human body is really amazing because it knows that it's underwater. So the body will not try to breathe. It keeps holding its breath until the body feels air on the face. And then you will inhale naturally.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So when you got stuck at the bottom, what made you get stuck?
So when I got stuck on the bottom, that was in the deepest discipline. That's called no limit. You go down with a weight and up with a balloon. So on that dive, there was a lot of current in the water. So the currents sort of spun the whole machine around. So it twisted the machine around the rope, so it got stuck on the bottom. And I couldn't untwist it because I didn't see anything. It was completely black down there. And we didn't know. Like, if we took all the safety measures we could have thought of, I did everything I could. I tried to fill more air. I tried to pull the rope so that they would pull me up from the top, but they didn't feel the pull on the rope. So eventually I just had to leave the machine and try to pull myself up.
Okay.
And hope that they would send down a safety diver quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because do you have people that go down with you during a dive?
No, they can't. You need to have safety divers, but they need to be super fresh. So before, before 5 years ago, they were just swimming down and meet you at maximum 30 meters. Because that's where you usually black out, if you black out. It's from 30 meters to the surface. Nothing ever happens on the bottom, usually. Nowadays, they use underwater scooters.
Oh, smart.
So there's a small scooter that takes you down and meets the diver and take you back up again. So it's much more safe to be safety free diving nowadays.
Okay, because the scooter goes faster.
Much faster.
What different types of free dives are there?
Well, I would say the main difference is either you free dive deep, or you free dive with a reef, or to free dive with animals or something. There's completely different ways of free diving.
Okay.
And if you free dive deep, you can free dive in different disciplines, either with or without fins. Which kind of fins? You can pull yourself down. You can go down with a weight. You can swim up, and you can also go down with a weight and a balloon up. So I think in total there's about 6 different disciplines.
Okay, and which one did you do?
My world record was in variable weight. But I also have several Swedish records in free immersion and constant weight. Okay. If there's any free divers out there, they'll know.
The same year you decided to, as you set your world record, you decided to go mountain climbing on Mount Everest.
And that was like a fun challenge to see if I could be the highest and deepest human in the world.
Yeah.
Because it's just about training, basically, and preparations and planning.
So how do you prepare for a mission like that?
It took about 5 years in total, because I slowly had to do more deep dives and go climb mountains, and it's always like different seasons for climbing, different seasons for free diving, and just sort of pinning those together.
Yeah. Okay. So isn't it very expensive?
It's very expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Holding your breath is for free.
Yeah.
So free diving is not expensive
so you
at all.
basically save money.
Yeah. And you save oxygen.
Yeah.
By not breathing. Climbing is the opposite direction. You need to bring extra oxygen, and it's expensive because of all the permissions and permits and just a long time on the mountain. Yeah. It's expensive to get there, and you basically spend 2 months living in a tent and slowly climbing higher, and you need food for your 2 months, and you need extra porters and Sherpas who support you. Yeah.
So did you climb any other big mountains before Mount Everest?
Lots. Yeah. I climbed, my first mountain was about 6,000 meters in Nepal. And after that, I climbed a few of the 7 summits. Like I went up to 7,000 meters in Argentina. I went to Kilimanjaro, obviously. I've mostly been in Nepal just because I love the country. So I climbed a few 8,000 meter peaks in Nepal, 7,000 meter peak. And that's about it.
What is it that you love so much about Nepal?
It's the people. They're so friendly and kind and humble. And they love nature. They love the mountains. They treat you really well.
Nice.
And obviously the nature is just stunning. It's beautiful to be there.
Yeah.
It's like Bali, but colder.
So take me through the journey you made and the steps you took when climbing Mount Everest. Like, how many people usually climb together?
There can be big differences in how big groups you have. I think anything from like 1 or 2 people to maximum maybe 16 or 20 people, not more than that. And I was in a relatively small team. We were only 6 people in total. And then we had help from yachts who helped us carry our gear, and some porters. We had a chef who was wonderful, and of course climbing Sherpas
Okay.
who helped us with guiding us, showing where we to go and making sure we drank enough and ate enough and all of that. And to get to Everest Base Camp on the north side, you have to drive for a few days through Nepal and Tibet, and then you end up in a few villages where you have to stop for acclimatization. So at 3,000 meters you have to stop and do some hikes up to like maybe 5,000 meters and go down and sleep, because that's how your body acclimatizes to altitude. And then you have to go to a village at 4,000 meters, you live there in a small tea house, and you climb again to 5,000 meters and sleep at high altitude. And after about 1 week, 10 days I would say, then you're acclimatized enough to stay in base camp. And base camp is at 5,000 meters, and in base camp it's about 50% of the oxygen compared to sea level.
Oh, wow.
So it's actually quite strenuous just to be in base camp.
Yeah.
So you stay there for a few days, wait again for the body. So this is not an extreme sport. This is like patience. You just have to wait for the body, wait for weather, wait for ropes to be set up. And then you stay in base camp, and then you have 5 more camps. So to continue your acclimatization schedule, you do rounds on the mountains. You go up to 1 camp in 1 day, and then you go down the same day and sleep. You wait for a few days, and then you go up to that camp again and sleep there for 1 night, go up to the next camp and go down to the second camp and sleep. And then you slowly move up the mountain that way, and it takes about 1.5 months.
Yeah, because
So it's really slow work, and then you have to wait for good weather. And usually the jet winds, they turn around in the end of May, and that's when you have good weather at the top.
So you found the sponsors before you started?
Yeah,
climbing?
I did.
Yeah.
I actually climbed 2 small mountains just to prove that I can climb, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I set the Swedish record, so they know that I'm on the way.
Yeah.
Both directions. And when you find the funding, you just have to train a lot, like 20, 30 hours a week.
Yeah.
Pretty much. You
So
have to
how
be
do
in
you train
really
for
good
it?
shape.
You run and
You need both really good cardiovascular strength and muscle, because the higher you go, the more the muscles are sort of disappearing just
Yeah.
with the low oxygen. So you need to have some extra muscle, because you will lose muscle on the mountain. So I did lots of weight training and lots of running uphill with a heavy backpack. I had weights around my feet and trying to make it look like a mountain.
yeah. Oh wow. So is it hard to find sponsors?
I thought it would be, but
Yeah.
it actually wasn't.
No?
And I think that's because I'm a woman.
Oh yeah.
Because there's quite a few men that wants to do adventures, but not so many women. And it seemed like many companies wanted to have a woman as their role model. So
Yeah, that's good.
it was not
Yeah.
so difficult as I thought.
Yeah.
In my mind, it was like, wow, who wants to give me like 30,000 euros just to climb
Yeah.
a mountain?
Yeah.
And it took, I think, 2 or 3 tries, and then I got the phone call. We want to sponsor you for all your preparation for Mount Everest and Mount Everest. And that was my main sponsor, Fisherman's Friend.
Oh really?
Yeah, because their old logo was the strongest there is.
Yeah.
And then they wanted to make me like the highest there is and the deepest there is.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so I actually ate a Fisherman's Friend on top of Mount Everest.
Oh wow. I didn't know that.
And then I had some clothing sponsors
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess you could ask Red Bull next time if they get.
Yeah, Red Bull actually made a movie about me.
Oh, really?
Like a documentary.
I didn't
So
know
they
that.
sponsored a movie and
Yeah.
all my trips for that movie. And then we spoke about if they wanted to sponsor me. But Red Bull is really bad for freediving because it makes your heart go up, and like, I cannot drink Red Bull. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
So I don't want to work with brands that I can't,
Use.
be authentic
Yeah,
with or use.
yeah.
And Red Bull always wants to have the forehead. They want to have their logo on the forehead.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the record that you set when you were climbing?
I was the first Swedish woman to climb Everest from the north side.
Oh, wow. Yeah. It's so funny because when I was working as a flight instructor in Los Angeles, I got booked for a discovery flight, which is basically when someone just wants to try out flying for a little bit. And it was this woman, and we started talking in a helicopter, and she told me that she was a mountain climber, and she had climbed the 7 summits. And then I told her, I was like, I follow this girl. Her name is Annelie Pompe from Sweden. Do you know who she is? And she was like, yeah, we climbed together.
Yeah, I actually met her in Papua when we climbed one of the 7 summits together.
Yeah. It's such a small world.
It is. It really is. And it's such few women who's done the 7 summits. I think we're about 20, 30 of us in total. So, but there's more coming now.
That's good.
Yeah, that's really good. So I think that the community is growing.
So what types of people go on trips like this?
First of all, you'll see that it's 99% men. Out of the 400 that climbed Everest when I was there, I think we were 3 women in total.
Oh, really?
So it was really not a lot of women, but it's increased a lot. I would say the
That's
last
good.
5 years, there's much more women climbing, which is great.
Yeah.
And
You were probably one of the reasons too.
I hope so. That would be nice. Just to show that it's, it's possible.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know why, but it's uncomfortable. I mean, you sleep in a tent for 2 months, you shower every other week.
How do you shower?
We have a special tent that we set up. It's like probably not more than 1 square meter. And you get a bucket of hot water. And then you get a cup of, like a teacup. And then you take a teacup from the bucket and pour over yourself.
And that's all?
That's all. So you get about 10 liters for 1 shower.
Okay.
And then when it's really luxury in the base camp is when you get like half a liter of warm water to wash your face. And it's really nice because then you realize how little you need to be happy.
Yeah.
Like I really don't need to live in luxury in order to be happy. I'm perfectly happy in a tent
Yeah.
with half a liter of water to wash my face. So yeah, you asked about what kind of people. It's really a big mixture of people. I think before there used to be a lot of macho guys that wanted to conquer the mountain. But nowadays it's more people who just want, a challenge. They love the mountains and they want to see what it's like to climb the highest one. And I think Mount Everest has just had this kind of magic pull. When you've seen Mount Everest and you love mountains, you just want to go there.
Are the climb really hard?
It's not really technical, Mount Everest. It's a few thousand feet maybe maximum of climbing.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's just steep hiking.
Yeah.
But some parts you have to use both your hands and feet and crampons and ice axe and everything. So it's really helpful to know how to rock climb.
Okay.
I remember one passage, I actually had that one thought, wow, I'm glad I can climb, but otherwise this would have been hard.
Yeah. So you talked about the food.
Yeah.
What type of food do you eat?
So the food is maybe not the most culinary on Mount Everest because you lose your appetite. Already from 3,000 meters, your appetite will be much worse. So food will taste bad or not taste anything. And also your body is kind of busy with acclimatization, so you're not going to be hungry. So eating, I think, is actually one of the most difficult things on Mount Everest. It's terrible to eat, but you have to because you lose so much more energy just by sitting still. I think at over 8,000 meters, it said that you lose 7,000 calories just being there.
Wow.
Like not even moving, you lose calories just because it's so high. It's like a terrible weight loss because you only lose muscle.
Yeah. What type of food do you bring? For
Well,
a
in the
mission like
base
that?
camp, the chef, he really does his best to make food that you like. So he'll try to make French fries, he'll make sushi or pizza,
Oh, wow.
anything that, gives you, get your taste buds going.
Yeah.
But I actually prefer the Nepali dal bhat the most. It's like a lentil pot with rice and then some curry. It's really easy to eat and it's good protein and carbs and everything. So I prefer the Nepalese food before the Western food
Yeah.
in the base camps. And then as we get higher on the mountains, we don't have a chef. We only have a a stove to cook our own food. We have to melt snow, which does not taste nice. And then you have freeze-dried food, like regular freeze-dried food. But it doesn't taste very well either. So usually you get nauseous after one bite, and then you have to breathe oxygen until the nausea goes away, and then you take the next bite. So eating a bowl of rice can take like 1 hour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but you have nothing else to do, so.
Yeah. Is there a lot of people that turn around on missions like this?
It's many reasons to turn around on Mount Everest, mostly because people get sick and you cannot recover in high altitude.
Yeah.
And many people get scared or they don't feel well. Like you can get lots of diseases like pulmonary edema, cerebral edema, altitude sickness. So out of the 400 that made it to the summit when I was there, but only 95 made it to the summit.
Oh, yeah.
So like 75% almost had to turn around for one reason or another.
So what was the hardest part about it?
The hardest part of Mount Everest was coming home because I hated that it was over. It was like, it's my biggest dream, and now it was the emptiness afterwards is definitely the hardest about Mount Everest. There was even times I wished I hadn't climbed it because I wanted to have it in front of me. So I was like, maybe it's not a good idea to make your dreams come true because it gets empty afterwards. But then, of course, it's worth it.
Yeah.
But I think it took maybe 2 years before I was really home again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't do anything. Like everything felt meaningless. So I tried to freedive, but I couldn't. I looked at the ocean. I'm like, I feel nothing.
Yeah.
So that was strange.
So during your climb up there, did you see any people who couldn't make it?
Yeah, you see dead bodies on Mount Everest because they're frozen into the mountain, so you cannot take them down.
Yeah.
You actually pass them on the way, like not far away from them at all. And that's the second worst thing on Mount Everest, definitely, because that's a reminder of that you're not supposed to be there. And that could be me. But I had really good help from sharing my Sherpa friend, because he told me this Tibetan Buddhist prayer that I should say so that nothing falls down on me and so that I don't fall down. So I was kind of repeating that in my head just to not freak out
that's
by
good.
the dead people on the way. Yeah.
Wow, that must also be mentally hard when
It was. Actually, the first time I saw a dead body, I wanted to turn around.
Yeah.
So we talk about, this podcast is called SkyTalk.
Yes.
Where we talk about sky, everything like aviation related, and then I know that you started to study to become a helicopter pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you end up doing that?
I've always loved helicopters. It's just something about the sound and the machine. I was just fascinated by it. Mm-hmm. And I've been in quite a few helicopters during expeditions. So, and every time I'm in a helicopter, I'm like, I really love this.
Yeah.
But then the last mountain I climbed is called Amadablam. It's in Nepal.
Okay.
And a guy on the expedition, he had knee problems. So instead of, when we climbed the mountain, we're going to fly down from the base camp to another village. So we didn't have to hike for like 3 days because it's really bad for the knees. And I was like, okay, I'll fly the helicopter too.
Yeah.
So when it landed, I'm like, wow, this is really nice helicopter. And they were like, oh, go ahead, sit in front. I'm like, no, I'm not going to sit in front. But then I sat in the front. And I started to speak to the pilot flying. And I told him, like, it's really like my childhood dream to fly a helicopter in Nepal. And it's so nice. And how is it? What is it like? And he asked me if I wanted to try flying it.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, what? Really? So I just got to handle the cyclic for a bit. And he's like, yeah, if you want to go forward, you do like this backwards. And the people in the back, they were screaming.
What kind of helicopter was it?
AS350.
Yeah.
Nice. And since that's been my dream helicopter to fly.
Yeah.
So as I was flying it, I'm like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to become a helicopter pilot. And I don't believe in putting dreams off for too long. Mm-hmm. So as I came down, I started to speak to the pilot, like, so how do I become a pilot?
Yeah.
And he gave me some advice, and I got back home and I Googled it. And then the COVID happened. Mm. And I lost all my jobs because I work with people in big groups and travels. Mm-hmm. And so I finally had time to do
so it was actually good timing.
Absolutely. It was perfect.
Yeah.
Because when you have lots of work it's easy that you just keep on working. And I was like, I don't have time to do education. I don't have time to learn anything new because I have so much to do.
Yeah.
And there was really no time for anything else
Yeah.
than training and different trips. And I loved it. So I just went with the flow.
Yeah.
But then that was perfect that it actually happened, because then I had time to do my PPL, and then I had some medical it's called level 1, is it?
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
So I had to wait to
Or
clear
medical
that.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, medical one.
Yeah.
So I still not cleared for that. I have to wait another year. But then I realized I can still work if I become a teacher. So now I'm aiming to become a CFI.
Oh, nice. So
Yeah.
you are done with your private and you're done with your commercial.
Not my commercial,
not your
because I
commercial.
need a medical one for that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I have the hours to do my CPL.
Yeah.
I just have to wait for the medical. So if you have the ATPL theory and a PPL license, you can still become an instructor for PPL students.
Okay. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It must have been very different to study to become a helicopter pilot compared to your preparations on your previous jobs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big difference.
Yeah.
But it's so rewarding to read and learn about something that you're interested in. It's easy and fun then.
Yeah.
It's not at all like software engineering studies.
Yeah. Because I remember when I studied, I thought it was so hard because it's so much.
It's super intense.
Yeah.
It's really, really
Yeah.
intense.
Yeah. How do you prepare? Any specific way that you prepare mentally when you're doing a
I
new
try
challenge?
to become really interested in all the subjects, like really dive deep into the knowledge, and trying to become curious about it. And when I read about like a subject in the PPL, then I try to find different ways around it. Like, I wonder what happens if I do that, and what does that come from?
Yeah.
And then try to look for information by yourself, not just read the book,
Yeah.
but listening to podcasts, trying to find YouTube videos, and like really becoming nerdy.
Yeah. Yeah. Nerdy
That's
is
fun.
cool.
Yeah, it is.
When I studied, it was very hard to find things about helicopters. There wasn't much out there.
No.
It's a lot about airplanes, and you can,
I agree.
yeah.
Podcasts like yours are needed.
Yeah, yeah. And you also started a podcast.
Yeah, I did with
Yeah.
one of my fellow students. She's now one of my best friends. We
Yeah.
really got to know each other. So we wanted to like speak about subjects together, and we were also studying together. So we were like, why don't we speak about our studies on the podcast?
Yeah.
And then we sort of divided it into the 13 subjects, and also did some super nerdy episodes about my favorite helicopter and her favorite helicopter, and which one is the best. And
Which do you two have the same favorite?
no, I was flying the R-44 and she was flying the Jet Ranger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in Europe you need to have a type rating for each helicopter. Are you type rated? You're type rated on a 44?
44, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to have the 22 as well, but I let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've seen on your Instagram that you bring your dog.
Yeah,
you.
I do.
Yeah. How does he like flying?
He usually falls asleep in the helicopter, but I think he connects flying with big open fields where we can play fetch.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he just like to run after his ball
Yeah.
on the field, and then he gets to rest a bit in the helicopter, and we land and we throw the ball again.
Oh, that's so nice.
But now I have to fly for about 30 more hours before I can continue my FI education. So we will hope to do some heli camping.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we just need a little bit warmer weather to fly off with the helicopter and do some camping and then fly back again.
Yeah. So he's a spoiled dog. He's like, I don't do walks. I go helicopter.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I go to cool places.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you started freediving and then mountain climbing, and you set 2 world records on the same year.
Yeah.
That must have been a great year for you.
It was.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah.
But it's also what comes with doing great performances is also the emptiness afterwards.
Yeah.
It's like, now I've done this. I wanted to do everything I did. Like, what's left to do?
Yeah.
So then it's good to go back to, what's really important to me, what and how do I keep challenging myself in maybe other subjects. And I think once you have achieved something really big, you also automatically get into giving back.
Yeah.
Like, how can I give back to the mountains and the ocean, and maybe bring that same happiness to other people. So for me, it's been about teaching and guiding.
Oh, nice.
To show other people this beautiful world underwater and bring people into the mountains. And now I'll hopefully teach people to fly.
Yeah. After you completed that year with your world records, is that when you started doing your public speaking? And
yeah, it was actually. And public speaking is one of the things that people fear the most, I've heard. Some people fear it more than death.
Yep.
And I was also really scared in the beginning. I was super nervous. But then I realized it's really nice opportunity to give something to people. To maybe plant a seed in their minds, or like give them something else to think about.
Yeah.
Seeing that we often limiting ourselves. Like, I like to give tools from mental training. How you can find the stronger mindset and things like that.
Yeah.
And breathing, of course. I think what I learned mostly importantly from both climbing and freediving is how much breathing affects us.
Yeah.
And how we can breathe better, and that's really good, like life improvement.
Yeah.
Easy.
Is that
easy
when
way.
you became a yoga instructor too?
Actually, yoga has been in my life since I was climbing, since I was 15.
Yeah.
Then I started to do yoga because I need flexibility for climbing. And it's not only flexibility in the body, it's also flexibility in the mind.
Yeah.
And that's what's so interesting, that this connection becomes so obvious in yoga.
Yeah.
Your body listens to everything you think.
Yeah. Yeah. So now you don't have to work with IT. You can just do, you're like, Mom, yes, I can do whatever I think is fun. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so nice.
But it's not the safe way to live. Because the safe way to live is do what everyone else does. Because then you can see, if you do this, you get that end result.
Yeah.
But I think now, as there's more and more influencers in the world, and people can live off playing video games.
Yeah.
I think that it's more obvious that you can find your own way in life and work with what you love to do, maybe.
What does it like a normal day look like for you? Or do you have any normal days?
No.
No.
Every day's different somehow.
Yeah.
But I like to wake up early, and I always do meditation and yoga the first thing in the morning, even before coffee.
Even before coffee?
Yeah. So I promised myself to do 1 minute every morning. So that is the first thing I do.
Okay.
That's because I want it to be a good habit.
Yeah.
So I made the first step really easy, because 1 minute is like nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I like to have coffee, and then I go training with my dog, maybe my boyfriend's dog as well. We go run in the forest.
Oh, nice.
And then if I live with my boyfriend, we usually go to the gym afterwards and train. And then the rest of the day just sort of happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes I have speaking jobs, sometimes I have to travel, sometimes I fly helicopter, sometimes I teach freediving, or I'm away for like a month in the mountains. So.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, because we were supposed to have this podcast yesterday.
Yeah.
And then you had to go from Denmark to Sweden.
It took so much longer than we expected.
Yeah. That's the aviation world.
Yeah.
I think that's why it might fit you so good, because it's so no day is like the other.
Yeah, and I think that's nice.
Yeah.
I think, but I know that some people think that's like, oh, there's no security or safety when you don't know what's going to happen. But when you let go of wanting to know what's going to happen all the time, then you have to keep like that security within yourself as well.
Yeah.
Like, I trust that whatever happens, I'm going to handle it.
Yeah.
But if you want a job that everything is always the same, as soon as you lose a little bit of control, you're not going to feel good or happy.
Yeah. And I think people that are used to everything going the same way, when something small happens, they react so much more.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because they're not used to change that way.
Or the weather. It's like, that's what sort of decides how our day is going to be.
Yeah. So whenever you, you've been challenging yourself for so long with everything, like you're starting your own company and freediving, mountain climbing, everything. Where do you find your energy?
My battery charger is in the outdoors.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like when I go out camping and sleep in a tent, when I go out to my houseboat, when I do things outdoors. Or like yesterday, we're going to fly a helicopter home. It's just going to take a few hours. But then my friend needs to pick up his helicopter in Denmark. And we're like, but we can fly you over. And he's like, yeah, that'd be fun. And then we started to, all the flight planning and all of that. And like those kind of projects and new things that comes up, that gives me energy.
Yeah.
So I think always when you do something fun, you find energy in just the fun.
Yeah. You mentioned now houseboat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've had a houseboat for 6 years because I realized I want to live close to nature because that's where I, energize. That's where I recover the best.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing for everyone to find in yourself, like what drains me and what gives me energy.
Yeah.
And try to find some kind of a balance. Like I know that my energy drainer is being in Stockholm.
Being in Stockholm, too many
like
people.
In the middle of city life and too many people and no green and no blue.
Yeah.
That's just I'm completely drained.
Yeah.
When I come back, and then I was like, I have to go to the houseboat now.
Yeah. Well,
what's your battery and drainer?
I think negativity.
Yeah.
Yeah. When people are, I mean, everyone is allowed to complain, but people that are constantly complaining and not doing anything about it.
That's terrible.
Yeah. So you are very much outdoorsy and you love everything that has to do with nature.
Yeah.
So in Sweden, we have this thing called flight shame.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We actually have a lot of shame in general in Sweden.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
No, so for the people who don't know, flight shame is kind of like this moral question about, I don't know if it became big with Greta.
Yeah,
maybe?
probably Greta Thunberg was a big spokesperson for not flying.
Yeah, so like you should not be flying because of the environment and the moral issues with that. How do you look at that?
I don't think shame helps at all. Do some action to actually help the environment, then you're okay.
Yeah.
And I think that flight shame is a way of trying to pull people down from doing things that makes them happy. And that's why it's so much shame in it. It's like people love traveling and like exploring new places. It's part of our history to travel. And of course, there's many different ways to travel, but I think you also need to do your research. That flying and transport is not that much of the carbon dioxide footprint. Building and construction is 40%. Fashion is 20%.
Yeah.
Like shame fashion instead. Don't talk to me about flying.
Yeah.
Because it's I don't know, the transport is something around 8%. Is the last number I saw.
Yeah.
And of course it's a bit worse because we're higher up in the air and sky and so on, but so much is being done in the transport sector to actually lower the emission.
Yeah.
And so I hope and think that flight shame will be gone soon.
Yeah. Have you ever heard anyone shaming you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But I've also not have a driver's license. I haven't had a car since I turned 40.
Oh, really?
So that was my first time I got the driver's license, and I also got the motorbike license and the license to fly.
You were like,
So I brought it
saved
all
all
on.
these years.
Yeah. And it's like, because I was ambassador for WWF and Keep Sweden Clean and Naturskyddsföreningen, another Swedish company. And they're like, how can you be an ambassador for those companies and fly a helicopter? I was like, why can't I do both?
Yeah.
Do I have to choose one? No, I don't.
No.
I can love nature and I can still fly.
Yeah.
I've tried. I can do both at the same time. It's not difficult at all. But then I also try to help part of nature. Like I love the ocean, obviously. So I do a lot of cleanup expeditions. I dive after ghost nets and I help where I can.
Yeah.
And I don't think shaming helps.
No. So talking about helicopters, what helicopters have you flown?
I've only flown the R-22 and 44, and I did a try flight once in the Jet Ranger.
Okay.
And that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But my dream helicopter is the AS-350.
Yeah. But you got to do a little
A little bit in
Yeah.
Nepal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so now when you reach so many goals already, and you're about to become a flight instructor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your commercial license.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's going to be your next goal? Is that going to be Nepal?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Flying in the mountains is just amazing.
Yeah.
I already did a little bit of mountain training in Austria. I did some time
cool.
building there, so I flew like 25 hours in the
nice.
Austrian mountains, and it was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, any motivations for people who wants to do adventure?
Find good company. Like everything is so much better and easier and more fun if you're in good company.
Yeah.
And I think most people who have been on adventures or are doing it, they're happy to share.
Yeah.
Of course, there's macho people out there. Just don't listen to them. But find a good tribe sort of to hang out with.
Yeah. Hang out with good people.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is. Then it looks normal.
Yeah.
If you want to do more camping, hang out with people who go camping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people are usually more eager to share things.
Yeah, I
than
think so
usually.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you have that attitude and you believe that people they want to share, and if you have something to share, like don't put yourself down. Like people need more of the person you are. So there was a really good quote from my friend's psychologist. She said, "No one benefits from you dimming your inner light,"
Yeah.
and that is so true.
Yeah. That's a really good thing to live after.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's a pretty Swedish thing. It's like, no, I haven't done much, and it's not so special what I'm doing, but
Yeah.
you've done amazing things.
Yeah.
Be proud and
Yeah.
share it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really good. So if someone wants to look you up on social media.
My handle is Annelie Adventures.
Okay.
Annelie
nice.
with an IE at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So if you haven't checked Annelie out yet, you should go to your Instagram.
Yeah, please follow me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can also join some adventures, like come freediving or
Yeah.
hiking. Or...
Yeah. Like silent retreat, maybe.
Yes.
Are you having any of those coming up?
Yeah, I usually teach silent retreats about 2 or 3 times a year. Next one is in Marstrand in Sweden.
Nice. Yeah. And you go to Bali too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love Bali.
Yeah. Oh, that's so nice. Yeah. I'm probably gonna have to come.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let me know when you're
Yeah. Yeah. And you do freediving courses too?
I do.
Yeah.
Mostly in Sweden, but also abroad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And
I look forward to listening to all your other episodes.
yeah. And now we're actually going to go out and do a little flying.
Yeah, why
right?
not?
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe we should just tell the audience what we're going to do.
Yeah, we're probably going to go to a search and rescue helicopter and be victims for the hoist operator to winch us up and down on the helicopter.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
Yeah.